Dave O'Grady here for Sportdec. You can download our app on the App Store and on the Google Play Store. I'm delighted to be joined by ex-Sunderland star Stephen Elliott, two-time championship winner. Stephen, you've been following Sunderland's pre-season preparations and you were at the Stadium of Light last week against Celtic. Didn't go too well.
No, they've had mixed results all pre-season, but the game obviously on Saturday was a total disappointment for the club. Obviously losing 5-0 is not good at any game, but the way they lost the game was probably more of a worry for new manager Simon Grayson. Celtic could have probably scored 7 or 8 if I'm being honest watching the game.
A little bit about Simon Grayson, Stephen. I know you were a little critical during the David Moyes era, but what have you made of him and his approach and what you've heard of him so far?
Yeah, he's obviously come in. He showed like that he wanted to take the job. There was a few managers who were in running for the job and he didn't seem to kind of want to take the job. So I think that was a positive from the start. But I think he's gone in there and he knows that he's got a big task ahead of him. And I think after seeing pre-season, he'll be even more aware of that because he's realising now, I think there's a few players that don't really want to be at the club, and that's something that's going to have to be sorted out over the next few weeks.
Speaking about players that don't want to be at the club, I know Darron Gibson this week was extremely vocal, and a lot of Sunderland fans have been quite critical of Darron himself, who was out socialising at the time and tended to get into a bit of a bar banter session, if you could call it banter, with a couple of Sunderland fans. What did you make of that whole thing?
Yeah, I've seen the footage. Obviously, it's not ideal with 6 days before the start of the season, but I think Darron, obviously, you could see maybe had a few drinks on him, but it's no real excuse. He shouldn't be out. Probably he'll be the first one to admit that. I'm sure he's apologised, but some of the stuff he says, I think a lot of Sunderland fans will probably agree with some of the things he says, albeit it wasn't probably the right timing for it the way it's come out, because he did mention that there are certain players that probably don't want to be at the club, and I think anybody who's watched any of the Sunderland games this pre-season will agree with him. But I don't know, going back to the guy who recorded it, I don't know how much of a fan he is to kind of record something slightly like that and kind of release it to the public. Maybe if he had it sent straight to the club, I don't know, but it didn't sit right with me.
How much changes do you think are needed at Sunderland? Because you talk about that bad air that still exists on Wearside after the David Moyes era. So is it a complete clear out, do you think, that Grayson needs?
I don't think a complete clear out, but it's plain to see there's a few players there that obviously given half the chance would kind of move away from the club, but it's getting somebody to come in and take these players away, because there'll be a lot of them on big wages, and like I said, he haven't done enough probably for other clubs to come in and take them on them wages. So Simon Grayson will be aware of this, and he's going to have to probably work with what he's got there for the time being, and it's up to him to show his managerial skills and his man management skills to try and get the best out of the players with the big opener coming up on Friday.
You were part of 2 Sunderland sides that got promotion from the Championship. The most recent one was during the Roy Keane era. Now, that didn't start too well. I think you guys were struggling after 6 games before Roy took over. So how important is it that Sunderland get a good start?
It's always important to get a good start, but like you mentioned there, we didn't get a good start that year and we still managed to win the title. But being at the game there the weekend and sensing the mood in and around the city and the ground, it's pretty dire at the moment, and a good start I think could kind of give the club a lift. But in saying that, I think the supporters there need to help the lads on the pitch somehow. I know it's not easy when you're not getting the right results, but clubs are going to be coming to the Stadium of Light, especially in this league, and they're going to be upping their game because it's a fantastic place to play football. And the Sunderland fans have got to kind of realise this quick, and they've got to make sure it's an atmosphere that away teams don't like playing in rather than the opposite.
Finally, Stephen, what are the biggest challenges for Sunderland? Who do you think is going to cause the biggest upset in the Championship this season, and who do you think are really going to be pushing for promotion?
You can't really look too far away from obviously Aston Villa. They've made some really good signings in the summer, the likes of John Terry, Glenn Whelan's, a lot of experience gone in there, and having the manager that they have, Steve Bruce, has been promoted from the Championship I think 5 or 6 occasions. So if it's anything to go by experience, Aston Villa will definitely be up there. Obviously Middlesbrough, after being relegated, they'll be wanting to kind of bounce straight back up like Sunderland, but there's other teams as well. Sheffield Wednesday, they came close over the last couple of years, missing out on the playoffs. Leeds United as well, they're another massive club, so it's not going to be straightforward for any of the teams in the Championships here. And Sunderland being one of the big clubs there's going to be a bit of expectation there, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it pans out.
Indeed, you can follow all the games of the Championship on the Sportdec app, available on the App Store and Google Play Store. Stephen, Elliott, thanks so much.
Cheers, Dave. Thank you.